My name is Amber Hathaway, and my presentation is over Betty Friedan's feminist revolution. The purpose of this is to inform my audience about Betty Friedan, her historical significance, and her role as a leader in the women's movement. A woman has got to be able to say and not feel guilty, what am I? What do I want out of life? She mustn't feel selfish or neurotic if she wants goals outside of her husband and children. This is a quote that Betty Friedan herself said a little bit after she wrote the book, The Feminine Mystique. Betty Friedan was a female pioneer that helped lead women to the women's movement, which created a balance between women and men in society. Her earlier work, such as the book, The Feminine Mystique, and being the founder of Now, are what made it possible for her to be such a major influence to the women of her time. Around 1951 to 1952, Betty lost her job. She lost it because she became pregnant with her second child, Jonathan. She lost it because during her first pregnancy, she had 2 years off for maternity leave, and her boss decided that it'd be easier to fire her than give her 2 more years off leave. Now that she had so much free time, she spent it looking after her family. She loved being a mother. She loved looking after her children on a daily basis. However, she started to feel restless. She started to feel trapped in her own home. Later, Betty wondered if other women felt the same way she did, restless and trapped. And she had the perfect chance to find out. The 15th reunion of her graduating class at Smith College was coming up. Betty used this chance to survey other women to see if they felt the same way she did. She gave them different questionnaires, and she gave a small demonstration to see if they felt the same way, and she found out that they did. These same women felt unsatisfied and trapped suburban housewives. The survey turned into a 5-year study because of how great it turned out. This study took different interviews of women across the country that were also suburban housewives. Since the study turned out as well as the survey did, the study then turned into a book. These are pictures of how she grew each decade. The Feminine Mystique was published in 1963, almost right after she finished her study. The book signified the second wave of feminists in her generation by opening eyes of housewives across the country. The book told them they were not alone in the feeling of wanting more in their lives. Betty put it in the words that she said, it was the feeling of no name. In the book, the first chapter is about the feeling of no name, with no name. It was now okay to have the urge to want something more. The Feminine Mystique was the start of women coming together. It was the front line of the women's revolution. Even though some women and most men criticized Betty and her book, it still became the bestseller in 1966, because it was the voice that housewives needed to hear, what they wanted to hear. Thanks to the book, she was able to create Now with 27 other women. Now is the national organization for women that was created in 1966. Betty was the first president of the organization, and she's the writer of the statement of purpose for the organization. The statement of purpose is basically their beliefs, their bylaws. It's the structure of the organization. Now was created to break through certain prejudice and discriminations against women in government, in politics, in professions, in the church, in education, and it also helps break through other certain barriers. It was made to work through every single aspect of the American society to help women join it in the way that they wanted to. And it did. They made it possible for women to control their reproduction system, meaning it gave them the right to have abortions, and it gave them the right to not have abortions. It gave them the opportunity to promote equality to their point of view, and it also helped them towards the end game of stopping violence against all women. They did this by marching, by giving rallies, by having demonstrations, and by building their numbers to this very day. You can actually become a member by going onto their website. Betty Friedan was a leader, she was a writer, she was an activist, she wrote books, she did marches and rallies, and each of these were another step for her and her followers to reach their goals and wanting to bring a balance to women and men in society today.